Jack Shabrowski here. Let's talk about the things you were supposed to have learned during your time at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas's Lee Business School Department of Marketing, or everything you always wanted to know about marketing but were afraid to ask, um, or you missed that day in class. So, this is a discussion about what we all hope that you have learned while you've been here at UNLV. And one of our jobs in this Marketing 495 class is to make sure that you have, in fact, learned the things that you were supposed to have learned. One of the problems we have with our very flexible degree program is that while we give you plenty of options in terms of elective courses that you might take in the area of marketing, and marketing is quite a diverse area, in some cases, while you are taking classes in one area, you are missing key pieces of information that we thought you were going to learn someplace else along the line. So we want to talk a little bit about that. Now, I want to make sure that you all leave here with the knowledge and ability to become professional marketers. So, what separates marketing students from those with non professional degrees? One of the things that drives me crazy is when I talk to a recruiter and they say, "Oh yeah, we're going to interview some marketing students. Then we're going to interview some people from," and you can put the degree you want in there. And I say to them, "But those people don't know anything about marketing." And they say, "Well, that's okay." And I say, "No, that's not okay, because we're teaching our students to become professional marketers. That is, understanding the theory and practice of marketing. To be a professional marketer, you have to be data driven. That is, you have to know how to collect the right data, analyze that data, and use it to make better decisions. Otherwise, you might as well have gotten a degree in you fill in the blank. Part of being a professional marketer is knowledge of the theories that drive the field of marketing, but also knowledge about the ability to actually do marketing. You need to transition from being a student here at UNLV to becoming a professional marketer. And the business school is supposed to be a professional school that helps you make that transition from student to professional in that business field. And in our case, that's in marketing. Of course, let's start with some things that we might ordinarily talk about. What's the definition of marketing? Well, how about getting people to buy things they don't need or want? Selling stuff. Or the science of exchange. Or marketing encompasses the entire business. It is the whole business seen from the point of view of the final result. That is the customer's point of view. That is a definition by Peter Drucker, one of the famous um, people in our field in modern business. Well, you're supposed to have learned the big stuff, the marketing concept. You ought to be able to rattle the marketing concept off at any particular point in time. You should have learned all about the 4 Ps. You should be able to solve problems and make decisions in the area of product. We just finished our course in product and price management. Pricing. You ought to know how to set price and how to manage price over time. How about promotional issues? No, I'm not talking about posting your weekend photos on Instagram, or the last time you went out for dinner, posting your dinner on Facebook or Instagram. I'm talking about promotional issues in professional marketing. And then, of course, place or distribution issues. Another one of the big topics that you have to be well versed in if you're going to be a marketing professional is positioning. And this is one of those 2 or 3 great big ideas in marketing, along with the idea of segmentation. What do you really know about segmentation? Are you a segmentation expert? Can you go into a company and help them do a segmentation analysis on their customer base? The big stuff, of course, how about the marketing concept? The marketing concept is the use of marketing data to focus on the needs and wants of customers in order to develop marketing strategies that not only satisfy the needs of the customers, but also accomplish the goals of the organization, hence the marketing concept. How about the 4 Ps? How about the product management part of the 4 Ps? Goods, services, experiences, ideologies, etc. How about services marketing versus marketing of goods? How about experience marketing, including sports marketing, entertainment marketing, and tourism? All things that might be important here in Las Vegas. Another area of experience marketing is in the area of medical. New product development, managing products over time, competitive issues in product management, and then, of course, channel issues in product management. How about pricing? How about setting price? Do you have the ability to know what information you need and the ability to sit down and establish the initial price that we're going to charge for a product? Not guess, but do it based on the data that's available. How about managing price over time? How about using price as a competitive tool? And then, of course, price as a part of product management. How much do you really know about pricing? How about place? How about channels of distribution? Channel selection, single channel, multi-channel, omni-channel. Retailing, brick and mortar versus bricks and clicks versus virtual retailers. How about going through merchants like Amazon? How about supply chain related issues in channels? That's a big issue right now with the potential for a number of changes in the tariff structure across the globe. The supply chain will undoubtedly change as some of those tariffs get implemented. How about pricing through the channel? How about channel promotions? How much do you know about the channels of distribution aspect of a new product or managing products over time? How about promotions? How about IMC strategies? IMC, of course, stands for, that's right, Integrated Marketing Communications. Traditional advertising versus digital advertising. Marketing communications. If you start talking about social media, of course, the focus has to be on metrics. And of course, what role does social media marketing play in the marketing of any given product? In some cases, it's a very important element. In other cases, obviously not so much. There are still many, many companies that don't have a web page. How about positioning? The battle for your mind. How about defining positioning? How about the tools to establish position? And how about managing position over time? How much do you know about positioning? Positioning is one of the 2 or 3 really key ideas that professional marketers can go into any organization and immediately start talking about their positioning issues. How about segmentation versus target markets? How about the definition of segmentation? How about the types of segmentation? How about segmentation-based marketing? How much do you know about segmentation? Hopefully, when you took your buyer behavior class, you spent a substantial portion, maybe a month or 5 weeks, on segmentation. How about customer relationship management or its alternative, relationship marketing? Do you understand the difference between those two? How about lifetime value of customers? Do you know how to make the calculations for lifetime value of customers? How about database marketing? Almost every form of marketing now is database driven. Database marketing is focused on things like apps, mobile marketing, notifications, and of course, trying to make the right offer to the right person at the right time and the right place. If you don't understand database marketing, then you probably want to go back and at some point in time pick up that knowledge. How about competitive marketing strategies versus customer centered strategies? Some companies focus on competitive marketing strategies, others focus mostly on customer centered strategies. What's the difference? What is the impact? What is the success rates? How about branding topics? Brand decisions, brand name, logos, taglines, trade dress. Branding decisions, brand equity versus brand loyalty, managing brands over time, brand engagement and strategies and metrics, brand activation strategies and metrics compared to brand loyalty and brand equity. How about information about customers, identifying your customers, forecasting customers? How good are you at forecasting? In what classes did you cover forecasting? Customer lifetime value, managing lifetime value, trying to increase customer lifetime value, segmentation basis for customers, acquisitions of customers, example, for instance, cloning versus prospecting. And then something that we love to talk about, but we know very little about, that 360-degree view of our customers. What is that all about? How about mobile marketing, strategies, apps, notification-based marketing? All topics that hopefully you have covered in your classes. How about sustainability? How about artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is not a substitute for critical thinking. It is a tool to help enhance your critical thinking. And using artificial intelligence to become a better decision maker is absolutely critical, but it is not a substitute for critical thinking. Artificial intelligence will not make decisions for you, and all it does is enhance your ability to collect the right data and look at the right data and make decisions. In summary, there's a distinction between what we know and what we need to know. And of course, learning is hard work. Otherwise, everybody would have an education. As you know, in the state of Nevada, less than 30% of the population, dramatically less than 30% of the population over the age of 25 has a college degree. We here at UNLV in the business school are focused on transitioning you from that UNLV student to that UNLV graduate that is a professional marketer. So let's have some fun. Let's learn something, and let's see how we've done with our education.